Hey, happy Friday, TGIF. I finally made it home. I made it out alive. It was not a bad day. Kind of boring, actually. Not a whole lot of excitement. That first line pump that I went to this morning was probably that was the shiznit. Anyway, so yeah, while I'm driving around and whatnot, I think about a lot of stuff. It's like anybody who does any kind of like artisan work where they're working on things, they're thinking about the details. Their brain is going, like it's almost like therapeutic type of thing, right? But the problem that I had experienced, not, and this isn't just having dealt with narcissists throughout my life, as far as relationships goes. This this goes, this delves into, the family relationship type of thing and how cruel and fucking ugly families can be. Especially when even though my parents, it's like, I've met people who were raised by single moms who are more put together psychologically, intellectually, than I would perceive myself having had both parents in the home and siblings and whatnot. Because it was always, it was almost as though, in a way, let me put my bacon on because I'm making salad. I'm making my salad tonight. It's almost as though my parents got off on watching us fucking compete against each other. I think about it, everything was a fucking competition. Everything. Yeah. Or a comparison. Why couldn't you be like this? Or why couldn't you be like that? That kind of hurtful shit. Or it's kind of like that underlying comment. Well, if you did this, then this would be different. Yeah, we'd spend that kind of money if you were doing this, this, and this. But if I were doing something that I love to do, but it wasn't going to get, big trophies and acclaimed awards, then they really weren't supportive of it. That kind of crap. So, I mean, everybody's situations are different. Everybody's growing up situations are different. My parents were real quick to call it out when they saw it somewhere else, but they couldn't see it within themselves. So I dated a guy in high school whose sister was the golden child, and this guy got nothing but crap. He meant nothing to his parents. It seemed like, yeah, even while I was with him, it seemed like that she was special in some way. Yeah, more so than him. Yeah. Everybody's families are different. Everybody's, their upbringings are different. Their experiences through life are different. It's like some people don't get their trauma until they're involved with a situation like at school where they're scapegoated or, gaslit inside a situation that really fucks with them, right? Well, my whole life was something was fucking with me. And every year, there was no freaking peace. It was, age of 4, this happened. Age 5, this happened. Age 6, this happened. Age 7, this happened. Age 8, this happened. I can look back on everything and be like, my God. It's a wonder I'm not living in a fucking insane asylum straitjacket. it just shows you that, you know, narcissism comes in many different forms. You know, the personality in itself, whether it be a disorder or just a characteristic. It's, my brother was very fucking narcissistic. You know, he treated his women like shit. We couldn't figure out why they left him. Well, because you're an asshole. That's why. You know, you cheat on them. You fuck around. You know, you don't come home. And you expect them to just get over it. It's that nobody died, you know, nobody died, so just get over it kind of mentality. And that's the way it is amongst my entire family. Not realizing the damage that they do. The psychological damage that they've done. And a lot of it, you know, I did. You know, I kind of like packed it away, put it way down, and something will happen, real life, you know, somebody at work, or something, some other scenario that isn't even got to do with them, and it will trigger the memories of something that I had, like, completely forgot about. Or thought I had forgotten about it. Wish I had forgotten about it, kind of thing. So, when someone has experienced this level of abuse on a prolonged level, and a lot of people would think, well, you know, you weren't beat to death. Well, no, you don't know that. Because I never really specified what happened. But I didn't die. Lived to tell the story later. Yeah, and it's a snowball. You know, it's like, you know, pray they know not what they do. Well, because of this happened, and because of that, this happened, and because of that, this happened. And it was a snowball, and it didn't just affect me. I have a cousin it affected. Distantly. All of this crap. And because of our ages, and time frame in which all of this shit has occurred, determines how well we are able to adapt and overcome or accept what has happened and move on from it. Now, some people, everybody is different. I had a very traumatic birth. It's very likely that, you know, I had a little bit of like Asperger type E, you know, and I wasn't treated any different. A little bit of autism, never treated any different. But emotionally, the shit that was said or the things that I experienced affected me completely different than it would somebody who didn't experience, you know, a traumatic birth and lose oxygen and, you know, nearly die. Yeah, me. I almost died when I was being born. These situations, you know, and there's a lot of people that, you know, they're like, all these people with all these, like, you know, mental disorders or mental health. These little mental health issues are what drives people to substance abuse. Or they're pacifying or they're self-medicating, not realizing that these little things like I'm talking about that, you know, somebody else might have been like, oh, no big deal. You grew up, you moved on, you built your life back, and you should be happy for what you have. No, the memories remain. They haunt you. They fucking haunt you. This is the psychological fuckery when it comes to when you experience any level of trauma. You know, there's people that could be like, yep, shit happened, moving on. And they can just move on. And then there's people like me who can't. Shit's 50 years old. I still remember shit that happened when I was 3. Wasn't at me, but I witnessed it. And it affected me. They say the impressionable ages. A lot of this stuff that occurred was during impressionable ages. A lot of this, you know, a lot of the stuff that after my daughter was in her teens, you know, it's very hard to let go of that when you know, your own sister was vicious. I mean, I had to hold back because the one time that, you know, when I let her have it over Facebook, I didn't get to see my daughter for 2 years. Or 3. I was probably deployed during some of that, so that kind of had a lot to do with it. But there was no requests for me to come home and visit on my R&R. There wasn't, you know, holidays. Yeah. She basically shut the fuck up and didn't say a damn word, and yeah, felt pretty fucking stupid. But what she did, she used my child against me, so I wasn't able to see her during that silent period of her reflecting on how fucking cruel and nasty that was. Didn't want that to happen again. Because I didn't get to see 2 fucking years of my kid's life. Even if it was only once or twice a year. It was a full 48 motherfucking months. That she kept my child from me because she got called out for being a dumb bitch. And being cruel to me. Yeah, I put my foot down. I put my foot down this past Mother's Day. There is no, well, I think it's because of the attitude that I gave my brother-in-law. That's probably why I haven't had any invites. But you know what? I don't really care because I can't stand even listening to his egotistical fucking ass. I can't fucking tolerate him. He makes me absolutely fucking. Anyway, so, but it just gives you an example, you know, of how, you know, and while I'm doing something that is, you know, hindsight 2020 is like become second nature. It's, you know, now I've gotten to a point where it's like mildly therapeutic. I can just drive around all day and talk about all my problems, put them on video. And not, you know, not put anybody at risk, you know, doing that. So, but yeah, I'm having me a beer. Today, it was hot out there. And my AC wasn't doing great either. I was like kind of dying. And dispatch needs people to work tomorrow. I told him no, but I'm almost, we'll see how I feel. I may just show up and call somebody and be like, what time has he got you coming in? Because I know the schedule. I know who's on that schedule. I don't know. I've got so much to do. I got to mow the grass. I've got to do an oil change in my truck. I've got to get working on all this baby stuff. I'm almost done. It's just the last thing that's going to be, that one's going to be hard because I need the square footage in the house in order to do it. It's going to be really difficult to get that one laid out, but we'll do it. If I have to rearrange the living room, we'll make it happen. But yeah, but what, you know, my mother and my sister have done over the course of, you know, my daughter's life toward me has been just blatantly cruel. Yeah, but they didn't hesitate to ask for money when they had something that she needed. Like, she went on the, I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it, People to People. It's where they, group of kids, and they got like, they got proctor, you know, or whatever, chaperones. And they go visit countries in Europe and kind of learn culture and things like that. Yeah, my daughter did that during the summer. I was deployed, I think, Afghanistan, when she did that. Yeah. So she got to see Germany and England and I think Switzerland and Spain, France. Germany, France, Spain, Switzerland, England. There was one other one. I don't know. I don't think they went to Belgium. Might have been Sweden, because they're right next to each other. Yeah, that kind of thing. I don't know. But anyway, she said she had a really good time, but yeah, $1,500 I sent her for that. Cost a lot more than that, but that was my chunk. Boom. And yeah. So that was a good cultural experience, which I didn't hesitate to let her do that. But here's the fucked up part. If I had wanted my daughter to come stay with me for a week, you know, wherever, yeah, my sister would have had to come with her. My sister didn't go with her to People. So it was, my sister trusted my daughter to be with strangers. She didn't trust her to be with her own mother. That's how fucking she was control freak. She didn't want me and my daughter to have a relationship at all, because if me and my daughter had had a relationship, my daughter would have probably not wanted to stay with her. That's why. So me and my daughter have a relationship now, but it's all of these different dynamics that a lot of people, they go through life and they just push it in the background. They don't realize that all that emotional pain, how it affects them in certain things. I am well aware of all the emotional pain that has been put upon me, and I am voicing it now. I don't give a fuck if she sees this. I really don't. Because it's gotten to a point where, I've had enough of the crazy. My child is an adult. She's about to have her first child. She is married. It's like, yeah, right after they got married, she messaged me, the child support didn't come. Even her husband was like, she did not. And my daughter was like, yeah, she did, because I called Haley. I was like, you're gonna need to hear this. So she had told her husband. And he was like, you're married. Yeah. So it was like, right after the marriage, my child support payment to my sister stopped. Here's the thing. My daughter's father's child support stopped when she turned 18. I was paying both of them while she was in school. Plus a car. But then she went out to school. They traded the car and got a different car, because the one I bought was a standard and my daughter just couldn't get it. No worries. You want her to have a different car and you don't want her to learn a skill, then you pay for it. There, I gave you half of it. I got her a Jeep Patriot. They traded in for a Ford C-Max. You gonna buy a car? You gonna pay the insurance too. I'm paying for the payment. I'm gonna pay the insurance. That's how I had it. So, but yeah, there's basically, there's a lot of things that it got down to the point where my sister absolutely had no choice but to fucking co-parent with me. Because I backed her into a wall in some ways. But now she tries to. And then it's like when I was talking about how, I put my daughter in the middle here. It wasn't intentional. My daughter is basically, she's the mediator and basically tells my sister to go scratch. She's the voice of reason in all of this. Yeah, it's pretty bad. I have a very strong child, thank God. And she puts my sister in her place. Thank God. But it's hurtful. It's hurtful to think about, to know that my own sister, who claims to be Temple Recommend Mormon, can be that fucking ugly. Yeah. Where are the standards? Yeah, I think you need to find yourself a new church there, chick. Apparently, whatever they've taught you, you didn't fucking get it. Because I know plenty of them, and they are beautiful people. Not this one. My sister is a sadist in comparison. Horrible human being. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm going to put my salad together. Dice up my chicken, cut my lettuce, and finish that beer. And, yep, think about whether or not I'm going to go into work or not. Cannot decide how ambitious I am right now. I may adjust. They've got 120 yards they need to get. I don't know exactly how it's going to work. But, yeah, see. I get 3 more of those and I might start feeling guilty. I'll call my dispatch. Like, alright, what time you need me? But, don't abuse me if you need me. Anyway, have a great weekend. But yeah, that's the finale. Yeah. This is how I work things out. This is how I stay sane. Maybe somebody will get something out of it. Maybe they'll see themselves in this shit. Yeah, but yeah, prayers to everybody who's dealing with this kind of crap. I don't wish this type of abuse on my worst enemy. It's just, there's no bigger cruelty than having family just fuck you over every chance they can. Peace.